Welcome, everybody, to the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. Tonight, we have a pregame show that's going to get you all set for the first of a three-game series between the Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Kehrig Real Estate Team. Good people since 1978. The Kehrig Real Estate Team has been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area. With deep local roots and a legacy of client-first service, they are committed to delivering results with honesty, care, and expertise. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first purchase, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. The Kehrig Real Estate Team, serving the Bay Area with pride for over 45 years. Contact Mike Kehrig today for a free home sale or purchase consultation, or check out their website, kehrigteam.com, and the phone number 925-548-4132. I've dealt with these people. They sold my house. They sold my brother's house. They got my brother another house. They sold my niece, my nephew. Awesome people. Check out their website, and you'll learn all about the Kehrig Real Estate Team. We're also brought to you by Tilden Properties. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California multifamily real estate. When investing with Tilden Properties, you see cash flow with quarterly dividends, with building equity in the real estate market. Isn't that what you really want to do? Bay Area-based and family-owned, Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. For more information, check out their website at tildenproperties.com or call them at 925-209-8558. And at the channel, my YouTube channel, there's a link to both of those companies' websites. And so you can go right to that. Use the link, and you'll get all the information you need about these two new sponsors. We have awesome places, man. You want to check it out. Tilden Properties and the Kehrig Real Estate Team, and we appreciate them for coming aboard the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. All right, so we got a busy show tonight on a Monday night. We got a Major League debut. We got a must-win series for the Giants against these Pirates. We got a trade deadline coming up. Little Bryce Eldridge update, and it was a Hall of Fame weekend last weekend, so we'll certainly hit on that as well. So remember, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and as we always try to do, we get as many comments as we can in, and any questions that you guys want to ask. If you want to jump into a super chat, we'll always get to those questions first, but we like to work along with our viewers who have been so great as we're going on our 12th week of the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. So closing in on 3 months. So let's get started with a Major League debut. That's the best place to start. It's a feel-good story. And right now, I think Giants fans probably need a feel-good story after what happened over the weekend. It's the Major League debut of Carson Whisenhunt. We've heard his name often. He's been the number one pitching prospect for the Giants, number one or number two for a couple years now. So his name has been out there, and you feel like he's been in the minor league system for 5-6 years, but that's not the case. He's just he's very highly thought of. He's a very talented young man, and tonight we're going to see him in the big leagues for the first time, starting against the Pirates. So 24 years old, nice sized kid, 6'3", 215 pounds. As you know, he's a lefty. Giants took him in the second round of the 22 draft. This year in Sacramento, 8-5 ERA, just a shade under 4.5, 86 strikeouts, 97 innings. Looking at his season for the River Cats, had a pretty good start, had a good month of May, struggled in June, and then he's gotten a little bit of the walk total has crept up a little bit, which is a little bit of a concern for him. He needs to throw strikes. He needs to be around the plate. He was doing that early on. The last month or so, we've seen that walk total go up. So that's something to keep an eye on. He last pitched on July 20th, so he's had 8 days off. So certainly he'll be fresh. Let's hope he's sharp. But when you always have heard about Carson Whisenhunt, it's the changeup. He supposedly has one of the best changeups you'll ever see. It's a grade 70 changeup. That's the grading scale that scouts use, with 80 being the absolute Willie Mays of everything. And they said that the changeup is a 70. So that's the pitch you're going to look for, because that's his go-to pitch. And there's an opportunity here for the young man Whisenhunt. Landon Roop's on the injured list. The Giants have said they think it'll only be a couple games, but you never know for sure. So Roop's on the injured list. We don't know if the Giants are going to go out and get a starter at the deadline. We think they will, but we hope they do. But you don't know, right? You don't know what happens at this trade deadline. Everybody wants a starting pitcher. So, the question is, do they get another one? The Giants. Who knows? But there is an opportunity here, I think, for Carson Whisenhunt. The Giants are a little banged up. You trade Harrison, you trade Hicks. They had to do that to get Devers, which, still the right thing to do. But maybe he grabs this spot. Who knows? We'll find out. We don't want to put too much pressure on the young man. But then again, the Giants are scuffling and, they're trying to stay relevant in this thing. And they badly, and I mean badly, need a winning streak. So anyways, major league debut tonight for Carson Whisenhunt. We're looking forward to it. And, let's hope the young man has a big night, something to remember, and maybe he helps the Giants get themselves a W. We'll find out. Now, the Giants, now they're just 2 games over 500. Didn't seem that long ago when they were 9, almost 10 games over 500. Well, that's not the case anymore. They've lost 9 out of 11, and they're 3 games back of that wild card now, San Diego. But now the problem is the Reds have jumped over the Giants. So now the Giants are chasing the Reds and the Padres. That's the way it is. Set 54-52, coming off a weekend that was super frustrating. And how many times have we said that? That's the thing about this season. There seems to be frustration among fans, among all of us, among the team. I know these guys are frustrated. I've talked to them. They are definitely frustrated. They think they're better. But then again, at this point in the year, you got to look at your record, and the old sports saying is you are what your record says you are, and there is truth to that. The thing that keeps haunting this team is the runners in scoring position. We've talked about it ad nauseum. It's there, and they just can't seem to get over it. It rose up again over the weekend after they did a pretty good job in Atlanta, but Giants go 0 for 23 with runners in scoring position against the Mets. Mets have a good pitching staff. We're going to give them credit there. But to go 0 for 23, and lose a game 2-1 and lose a game 5-3 is very, very frustrating. So I did a little research, as I think you guys know I like to do sometimes. But the Giants have 52 losses, okay? 18 of those losses are 1-run losses. 16 are 2-run losses. So I hope my math is correct. 34 of the Giants' 52 losses have been by 1 run or 2 runs. Okay? That's 65% of your losses have been by either 1 or 2 runs. 65%. So 2/3 of your losses, 2/3 of your losses by 1 run or 2 runs. Doesn't that put you immediately into the thought process of just one more hit with a runner in scoring position in many of these games could have won the game for you? I don't think there's any doubt about that. 65% of the Giants' losses this year have been by 1 run or 2 runs. They're now hitting .229 with runners in scoring position. That's the 3rd worst in Major League Baseball. The Major League Baseball average overall, all the teams put their numbers all together, with runners in scoring position is .251. The Giants at .229. So that's they're 22 points lower than the Major League average. Okay. So if you think about it, and this is where I would say, how many more hits with runners in scoring position would the Giants have needed to at least be Major League average? So that math equation came to 18. If the Giants would have 18 more hits with runners in scoring position, they would be average-wise league average with runners in scoring position. How many more games would they have won? Those 18 extra hits to get to the average of Major League Baseball. How many more games would that have helped you win? Even if it was 3 or 4. You lost 18 one-run games, right? And 16 two-run games. So really, those games are one hit away from maybe winning the thing. So if you were at least hitting the major league average with runners in scoring position, if you were the Giants, I think, and we're guessing here, but it could be the difference between maybe 4 more wins. I mean, I think I'm being fair there. I'm not trying to reach one way or the other. If you had 4 more wins, you'd be 58-48. You'd be 10 games over. That's where the frustration comes in. That's where it really comes in. And again, these are, I'm just, how many more games they would have won with an extra, we're just kind of guessing here, but I think you fans understand my point is that to me is why it's so frustrating is I don't think anybody's asking for 3 or 4 more hits a game with runners in scoring position. You're asking for 1, just 1. And I think it would have made a huge difference in this season in the win total. If you just, and you can look at this weekend, and you can look at that the weekend against the Dodgers going into the All-Star break. I mean, those are just the closest games that you kind of remember. And again, I keep going back to, but to me, that's where the frustration lies is they seem one hit away so often from winning a game. So tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree with me on that assessment. And, we talk about the runners in scoring position a lot. But, listen, there's a lot of games in a baseball season, and we all watch every game, and, we're locked into this. So we see the issue. You almost feel like it's taken this season down right now. Anyways, let me throw out some comments here. Everybody's checking in, which I certainly appreciate. That's why my viewers are awesome. Let's see. On the Fence, Posey checks in. Doubt Whisenhunt is part of trade packages because if he was, they wouldn't risk him getting hurt right at the deadline. Clearly, they value his change up to strikeouts and induce ground balls versus the Harrison fastball. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Although I wouldn't rule him out from being part of a package. I mean, they would listen, if you threw him into any package, you better be getting something really good back. But I think the Giants are open to most anything. So I wouldn't completely rule him out. I think it could be on the fence that maybe at this point they just need a starter for tonight, right? Because they're banged up. And let's see how the kid does. I mean, if you're thinking about it from a trade chip standpoint, teams like him, obviously, he's a major prospect. If he shows out tonight and looks really good, that would make him even more attractive. So who knows? But I don't think anybody is necessarily completely off limits to the Giants when it comes to who they would trade or who they could trade. So that's, what? Let's hope the kid does good tonight for a couple different reasons. How about that? On the Fence then comes back and says, wait, what was the total of games by 2 runs or less? How many were blown saves? I don't have the blown saves in there. I really don't. But like I said, so 18 1-run losses, 16 2-run losses. So I'm pretty sure that's 34. I've never been great at math, but so that's 65% of their losses. So, but the bullpen, the bullpen as a whole, has done a pretty good job this year. I think they're a little tired right now, but they're not the only bullpen that's tired. Bryce Herbert says, I feel like Whisenhunt is going to end up being a top-end reliever or possibly a closer overall. Too early to tell, but pitching arsenal, not really starter stuff yet, in my opinion. Well, we're going to find out tonight. But the changeup is a 70 pitch, 70 grade pitch. So he can work around that. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of different things that could happen here. Maybe they keep him in the bullpen as a log. Who knows? Who knows? But it's a good thing. He's a top prospect, one of the top prospects, for the Giants, and we're going to get a good look at him tonight. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So, Bake the Dough says what we were talking about with runners in scoring position. This is what separates good teams from average and bad teams. And there may be a little bit of truth to that. But I just feel like there, and I've said it all along, and I'm going to stay with it because I don't want to backtrack on stuff. I just think that there's more there from these Giants hitters because there's a track record there. So that's what I'm kind of basing that on. But it just seems to be a team-wide thing, and you start squeezing it a little bit, when guys get on base, and that's where the frustration comes in. So, yeah, I know. They need a big series here against these Pirates. So let's get to the Pirates. They're from Pittsburgh. They've been around a long time. 44-62, but they're playing a little better. They won 5 out of 6. So, if you're the Giants, you're probably thinking, great. It's not a great Pirate team, but all of a sudden they come in playing pretty good baseball. Have not played well on the road. They only have 13 road wins this year. That's it. So we'll see how that goes. Offense is the Pirates' offense has been bad for a number of years now. They just can't seem to get it right offensively. They are last in the major leagues in runs scored. They're last in the major leagues in home runs, and they're last in the major leagues in OPS. They just cannot get it going. They had this issue last year. They had it the year before that. Just an inability to score runs. They got some decent young arms. Of course, Paul Skeens, Giants will not see Skeens. Thank goodness he pitched yesterday and got a win. So that's the offense continues to be an issue for the Pirates, just an ongoing issue. They do have Onel Cruz, the big, tall center fielder, just an uber talented kid. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's a little raw yet, but somebody to watch. Big left-handed hitter. Remember, he started at short and they moved him to center field. He's still learning center field a little bit, but he's got 17 home runs, leads the team. He's not hitting a lot, right around 220, strikes out a lot, but when you see him, you could just the talent just oozes off him. So he's fun to watch. So keep an eye on Onel Cruz. And they got Reynolds, of course, in the outfield. Brian Hayes, Charlie Hayes' son, is at third. So they have some veterans. McCutcheon plays every day in right field, but they just are not a good offensive team. They do have some pitchers, though, that are attractive with this trade deadline coming up. Trade deadline now 72 hours away. The Pirates do have some guys that I think, some relievers, and there's a couple starters. And so, we'll see if they're at all active when this trade deadline shows up, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But so that's kind of the deal with the Pirates. So your series pitching matchups then, which we like to throw out there for everybody. Tonight, of course, Whisenhunt against right-hander Mitch Keller. And Mitch Keller is one of those pitchers that we're talking about that teams really like. Pretty good starter. Doesn't have a great record. He's 4-10. But again, the Pirates struggle. Doesn't get any run support. His ERA is 3.5. So he's an attractive guy for teams that are looking for a starter. 29 years old, so right in the middle of his career. He's pitching extremely well. He's got an ERA at 2.3 in his last 7. That's pretty good. And remember, he's pitching, for a team that just doesn't do much offensively. And the thing what makes Keller attractive here is he's got a long-term contract. He signed a long-term contract with the Pirates. So He is under contract through 2028. So if anybody were to trade for him, they would have him not just this year, but 3 more years after that. And I think you can put Keller in a mid-rotation spot. He's probably a number 3 in a 5-man rotation. That's what I would put him at. But hey, listen, if the Pirates are going to trade a guy like that, they're going to ask for a lot because of the quality and the fact that he's going to be under contract for 3 more years after this year. That's a lot. That's a lot. So if you were to acquire Mitch Keller, you're going to have to give the Pirates a lot. And we'll see if anybody does that. If not, Pirates keep him. So you team him with Skeens, and you get pretty good 1-2 punch there. But so anyways, that's the pitching matchup tonight. Again, that's not an easy task for the Giants. Keller is a very good pitcher. So nothing seems easy for the orange and black right now. Tomorrow to be Verlander. Justin Verlander looks for his 2nd straight win. It would help a lot if he could get on a little bit of a roll. He'll be opposed by Bailey Falter, a left-hander. Falter 7-5, ERA about 3.8. So again, the Giants have not done well against lefties this year. So will that be an issue tomorrow night? Falter's coming off a great start against the Tigers. So that's the deal tomorrow night. Verlander and Falter in game 2 of the series. Then Wednesday, a day game, Logan Webb tries to get back on track. Webb has got knocked around a little bit his last couple starts. He's 9-8 on the year, and it'll be a right-hander, Mike Burrow. Mike Burrow is 1-3 on the season. So there's your pitching matchups for this 3-game series. And listen, I think, and you don't like to do this a lot, but after what happened over the weekend and the way the Giants are going, where they've lost 9 out of the last 11, and you get a team like Pittsburgh come in that's struggling. They're not a great team. You have to, and I mean, listen. You hate to say the Giants have to sweep because that's a little disrespectful to any team. But you better make sure you win 2 out of 3 because you got to go to New York next weekend. So this is it's not getting any easier, folks, for this Giants team. It's really not. So they need to just tighten it up. And of course, you see what happens come Thursday. So anyways, let's see if there's any other comments that we want to check with. Let's see. We're not going to get brutal on anybody. Yeah, Suarez just got hit in the hand. Of course, he's one of those. Yeah, Suarez, the guy from the Diamondbacks who everybody wants. Tom Katz says Lee is hitting above 300 in the month of July. He's looked a little better lately. I still want to see Lee be a catalyst, and he was a catalyst at the beginning of the year, and it showed. It showed in the lineup. The lineup was really good at the beginning of the year. The Giants played good baseball, and Lee was a big part of that. He needs to get back to that. And I think that's important. I think that's important. Rogers says, I would rather see Grant McCray than Yaz. So Yaz is really struggling right now. He just cannot get going. He's got 1 RBI in the month of July, and that came on a home run. So it's tough. It's tough for Yaz right now. Grant McCray is a very talented young man. I like Grant McCray a lot. He's having a good year in AAA. He's an excellent defender. He's got some speed. He can steal some base. He's still striking out too much. That's the thing that's probably holding him back a little bit. But that's a talented guy, and I know the Giants like him. We'll see. We'll see. Bake the Dough says, if you're president of baseball operations, right, what would be your moves? Well, you know what? That's where we're going. Bake the Dough. Bake the Dough knows our show. He knows where we're headed. Next topic is the trade deadline, which is 72 hours away. Before and as we talk about the deadline, we'll get to the Giants and that kind of stuff here in a minute. I keep a close eye on any trades that are happening. Couple today, nothing that's going to shake anybody. The Tigers got Chris Paddock, right-handed starter from the Twins. Remember Paddock? shut down the Giants in Minnesota earlier this year. So the Tigers get a starter. Brewers got backup catcher Danny Jansen from the Rays. So that's neither here nor there. Those are the trades that I saw happen today up until half hour ago. So not a lot going on today, but everything's percolating. Everything's right there. But there were a couple interesting things that happened today. Actually, I think the Seth Lugo thing happened yesterday, but Seth Lugo, very good starting pitcher from the Kansas City Royals. I think he was on the top of a lot of people's lists, a lot of teams' lists of, hey, we need to go get a quality starter. But the Royals said, whoa, wait a minute. The Royals signed Seth Lugo to a contract extension yesterday, a big one, 2-year contract extension for $46 million for Seth Lugo. Now, you may not hear a lot about Lugo. Plays in Kansas City. The Royals kind of scuffling this year a little bit, not having maybe the kind of year that a lot of people thought they would have. But still, the Royals, a lot of young talent, and Lugo really doing a nice job for them, and they decide to keep him. And you know what? Good for Kansas City. I like to see him spend money and keep a guy as opposed to, saying, hey, we got a guy, but we got to trade him because we're going to get a lot back, that kind of thing. So anyways, Lugo's off the trade market. He's staying in Kansas City. The thing that happened today is interesting, and it could have something to do, or it could impact the Giants in a roundabout way. The Cleveland Guardians closer, Emmanuel Clase, whose name is very much active in the trade market. Again, a really good closer, a real team-friendly contract that runs 3 more years. He was placed on administrative leave amid MLB's sports betting investigation. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get into that because I'm not sure what it's all about. But the fact is Clase is off the roster. I don't know how long he's off the roster, but the point is that was a guy that I think could have been traded, a closer. Teams are, listen, if you're a contender, you are looking for bullpen help, you're looking for closers. That's what I think that's what teams like. We got to strengthen our bullpen because bullpens are so important come postseason. So that's where the Giants come in here a little bit, I think. What about Camilo Doval? I'm just curious. I don't think there's any question that, the Giants have talked about what they could get for Camilo Doval, but they talk about it, probably all their players, except for maybe Chapman and Adames. That's what GMs do, right? That's what baseball people do. They're going to talk about everybody. Who could we get for him? But I'm sure Doval's name's up, and I think Doval's name is out there among teams that would like to get him because he is a talented guy. This year, he's got 15 saves, the ERA 3.2. We've all seen it. Some innings look dominant. Other innings, you just kind of hold your breath. That's the way it is with Doval. I think as long as he's a closer for the Giants or for every team, I think it's always going to be like that with him. There's going to be a little bit of a tightrope. His walk totals they were real high last year. They're still a little high this year. I think that's a little bit of an issue. But something that I saw which jumped out at me was, he's a strikeout guy. He's got a terrific slider. Fastball's 99. Doesn't always know where it's going. But and I think this is something teams do look at. I look at a lot of statistics. A lot of them are just the general statistics because I still think those matter. But sometimes you can really get into numbers and strikeouts per 9 innings for Doval. Now, he's your closer, so most closers have strikeout stuff. But you go back, his strikeouts per 9 innings. In 2021, it was 12.3, which is terrific. That means he's averaging 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. So that's off the charts. In 2022, it went down to 10.6. In 2023, it went back up to 11.6. So 11.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's still very good. Last year, it went to 11.9 strikeouts. per 9 innings. So you get 11 and you get to 12. Those are really, really good numbers. So this is what I saw. His strikeouts per 9 innings this year is at 9.1. So from last year to this year, that's a drop from 11.9 strikeouts per 9 to 9.1. That's almost 3 strikeouts per 9 innings on average has gone down. That's a little alarming to me. Anyways, I think Doval could be out there. That's just my guess. I think the Giants are willing to do big things. We already know that, but I think that sometimes you may have to trade from, everybody wants to say, well, yeah, the minor leagues, yeah, who are you going to give up? Give up this guy, don't give up that guy. Sometimes you may have to trade from your major league roster. Is Robbie Ray out there? Would they think about doing that? An all-star left-hander with a year of control. That would be hard to do because Ray's a very good pitcher and you have him next year as well. But who knows? I'm sure the Giants said, "What do you think we could get for Robbie Ray? What if you got 2 young pitchers that were close to major league ready? Would you think about it?" I don't know. Again, and what about Elliot Ramos? We know Elliot now as a player, good offensive player. The defense, I think, has taken a step back. At times, he'll do some head scratching things from an instinct wise. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just throwing major league roster names out there that I wonder if the Giants would think about trading that guy. I don't know. And I'm not saying they shouldn't. It's just you have to be open to everything this time of year. I don't know. It's such an interesting time, and it's such a fun. I love the trade deadline, and it's a little hectic too. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's sort of my Giants trade deadline for today. And on Thursday night, when the trade deadline ends, I'll have a live stream show. Where we'll cover everything that happened. We'll basically just give it to the trade deadline and see what the Giants did, if they did anything. We'll see what the other teams did, who improved the most. Anyways, we'll do that on Thursday. So, fun stuff. Trade deadline's always fun, and we'll see what happens with the orange and black. So, let's check here. Instant One says, well, you got to be realistic here. Some things just aren't realistic. How about approach Chapman about renegotiating his no trade clause? Ramos is cheap. Chapman isn't. Yeah, that's not what happens at the major league level. There's no negotiating. That's just not realistic. Sean Jelly, the ERA is high. Scott, Melvin can't make a lineup to save his life. Hold on. I'm losing him here. Well, the Melvin, I always kind of chuckle when the manager gets blamed. If guys were doing what you thought they could do, then the lineup wouldn't be an issue. If Jung-Hoo Lee was doing what he was doing at the beginning of the year, then he would be locked into the leadoff spot. But now he struggled, so you drop him down in the order. You try to get him going down there. To me, it's the lineup is the lineup. You try different things as managers. I get that. The fans will never agree with the lineup, and I get that too. I don't agree with the lineup all the time, but the lineup becomes a bigger issue when guys don't perform up to what we think they should, right? So that's on the player. That's not on where the manager puts him in the lineup. That's on the player. And I'll I will argue that all the way through. That's the manager's doing his best to put a guy in a spot where he thinks it'll help him. We may not agree with that all the time, but that's fine. That's why baseball's great. But it comes down to, if you're not performing, I got to try something else. If you are performing, then it's not an issue. So every team that struggles offensively, I guarantee there's a lot of talk about the lineup. That's been going on forever and ever. Pitching, Bryce Herbert checking in. Pitching feels like the biggest hole overall, not the lineup. Guys got to hit, man. Well, yeah, I mean, I think they need a starter, and I think they need another hitter. I just don't know that it's going to be I just don't know that they're going to go about this conventionally. When I say conventionally, I mean, well, we'll trade 2 minor leaguers for a major leaguer. I don't know. It could be a little different way to go here. We'll see. All right, let's see. We don't try. We have the same lineup tonight. If Lee plays like he did early in the season, he's opting out in 2 years. Okay. It's a little negative tonight, but I understand. That's what happens when the team loses 9 out of 11. But I got something to make you happy. A little Bryce Eldridge update. This always makes people happy. Bryce Eldridge is fun to keep an eye on. We all keep an eye on him. How can we not, right? He's the Giants' best prospect, and he's one of baseball's best prospects. Well, so I saw a couple highlights. He's hitting home runs. Well, now he's played in 25 AAA games, so not a huge sample size, but he's in AAA. Can't get any closer to the big leagues. He's got 7 homers, 26 RBIs in 25 AAA games. The batting average is down a little bit, 226. Lots of strikeouts, 33 strikeouts and 93 at bats. So there's some pretty significant swing and miss there. But, man, you see the highlights of his homers. The power is awesome. And he's on a hot streak. He's got 4 home runs and 11 RBIs in his last 6 games. So it's fun to watch. It's fun to keep an eye on Bryce Eldridge. And I know I like to see how he's doing. When I see a highlight of Eldridge, I'm like, oh, I got to see it. So anyways, that's your Bryce Eldridge update for today. We'd like to keep an eye on him. Now, we're going to finish the show, and we're going to congratulate the Hall of Fame class of 2025. They deserve congratulations. Hall of Fame is precious, man. I mean, if you've never been there, do your best to get to Cooperstown. I was there a long, long time ago. So it's been quite some time, but these guys deserve it, man. Dick Allen, the great Dick Allen, big, powerful right-handed hitter, intimidating, 351 career home runs for Dick Allen. And what I remember about Dick Allen is most of his career was played in Philadelphia in the 60s. But he had a 3-year stretch in Chicago with the White Sox. And it was 1972, 73, 74. So where I grew up in southeast Wisconsin, we were very close to Chicago, and we could actually get the White Sox games on TV. So they weren't very good, the White Sox back then, but I used to watch them all the time because it was a baseball game. We could watch the Cubs and or the White Sox. And Dick Allen's first year in Chicago was 1972. So I was 9 years old. So I was into it, right? I was into baseball. And I didn't know much about Dick Allen because he was in Philadelphia but so he gets to the White Sox and he wins the MVP in the American League in 1972, his first year in the American League and his first year with the White Sox. And I remember watching him thinking, this guy is super cool. Plus, he just was a bad man. He just had that look like, I'm going to hit a ball 500 feet and I'm going to run the bases and I'm going to go out to my position. And he was tough, man. He was tough. But I just liked the way he played, and he just was such a bad, bad dude when he stood in the batter's box. And I'll always remember being a kid watching the White Sox And then it became, because they weren't very good. It became, I wanted to watch the White Sox because Dick Allen, and I just loved how he stood in the box, and you just thought every time he came up, he was going to hit a ball a very, very long ways. Dave Parker, congratulations to Dave Parker, 339 career home runs, over 2,700 hits. Remember when he was a young player with the Pirates, he was a terrific outfielder, won Gold Gloves, had the great arm. Another guy, man, just full of confidence and swagger, and it just showed that he didn't care, and he was great, and he knew it, and it was just a fun guy to watch, right? And he just had that look, man, that confidence. And remember, in 1989, he was with the Athletics, and he had a terrific season. DH, he had 22 home runs and knocked in 97 runs for the A's in 1989 when they beat the Giants in the World Series. So unfortunately, Dave passed away just recently. Passed away last month at the age of 74. So that stinks that he didn't get to be at Cooperstown when he got put in the Hall of Fame. But congratulations to Dave Parker and obviously his family. But Parkway, man, he was awesome. CC Sabathia is in. Bay Area's own CC Sabathia. Of course, the pride of Vallejo. 251 career wins, over 3,000 strikeouts. Won the Cy Young in 2007. And you're going to love this, Giants fans. He was the 20th pick in the first round of the 1998 draft. The 20th pick, okay? Who do you think had the 19th pick in that draft? The San Francisco Giants. They passed on Big CC and took Tony Torquato. Tony Torquato with the 19th pick. The next pick, CC Sabathia. He was there for the Giants to take, and they passed on him. Bay Area kid from Vallejo. He could have been a star in the orange and black. Oh, well. I know that doesn't make anybody feel good, but the Giants had the 19th pick. He went 20th to the then Cleveland Indians. So, little history lesson for you. But then again, the draft is, it's easy to go hindsight, right? Billy Wagner, he's an all-star. Remember Billy Wagner, just 5'10", and just coming out of the bullpen, just throwing darts with the left hand. It looked like he was throwing 120 miles an hour. 422 career saves for Billy Wagner. He was an all-star 7 times. And he was so good. Remember, it was the Mets, and for a while, great years initially with Houston. But Billy Wagner, a closer. Closers are starting to, more and more closers are starting to get into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Billy Wagner. And last but not least, Ichiro Suzuki is in. We all know what Ichiro did. I saw it working in the American League West for all those years. Just unbelievable what he could do. 3,089 hits here in the U.S. That alone is going to get you to the Hall of Fame. But before coming here, he played 9 years in Japan. Okay. And in the 9 years in Japan, he had 1,278 hits. So if you combine those numbers in his 19-year professional career, okay, 4,367 hits. Think about that. And I said 19-year career. That was not accurate. 9 years in Japan, and then all of his years here in the major leagues in the U.S. 4,367 career hits. So Ichiro, no questions there. A Hall of Famer. Everybody knows it. And my final point is this one. Ichiro was not unanimous. He was 1 vote shy. Somebody didn't vote for Ichiro. They said, no. So he actually brought that up in his Hall of Fame speech. I say good for him. So Ichiro, not unanimous. But nobody was unanimous except one guy, one player out of 278 players in the Hall of Fame. One was the unanimous choice. Only one, Mariano Rivera. And he deserves it. I mean, you got to vote for him, right? But here's the thing. He was the only one of 278 to be voted unanimously. That's a head scratcher to me, and it always will be. And I know sports writers, they don't like when you bring this up, but the reality is somebody didn't vote, I mean, they said no. I don't understand that. Derek Jeter and Ken Griffey Jr., would you say absolute, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famers? Everybody's going to agree on that. I would say, yeah. They each had 3 voters that didn't vote for them. 3. 3 people said Derek Jeter, nah, I don't think so. 3 people said Ken Griffey Jr., nah, I don't think so. Oh, it gets better. Nolan Ryan. He's pretty good. Pretty good. He had 6 voters that did not vote for him in the Hall of Fame. 6. Cal Ripken Jr., nice player, right? Absolute, no question, Hall of Famer. You could see it early on in his career. He had 8 voters that did not vote for him. 8. And this is the topper. This is the topper for me. Because he's one of my favorite players, even though I remember him late in his career. But Hank Aaron, maybe a top 5 all-time great player. I mean, again, that's just a judgment, an opinion. Hank Aaron had 9 voters that didn't vote for him to go into the Hall of Fame. So, on that note, some things in baseball you just can't figure out. Just can't figure out. But, yeah. Anyways, congratulations to the 5 Hall of Famers in the 2025 Hall of Fame class. It's great. So, all right, I'm going to get a couple more comments, and then we're going to head out of here. Scott says, laugh out loud. Who didn't vote for Ichiro? No, nobody knows. If you didn't vote for him, then you're probably not going to make your vote public just because, then it turns into a you-know-what show. So let's see. Roger says, always a great job, Roger. I appreciate it. I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate you commenting. I appreciate you being part of the show. I really do. I appreciate everybody. You guys have been great. Let's see. Scott, yeah, seeing Ruth's bats and Cobb spikes gets me every time. Yes, it does. Let's see. Tom says, by the way, I don't think Lee is a good leadoff. He doesn't steal much. He doesn't walk much either. That's the reason they had him in the 3-hole and behind at the beginning of the season. Yeah, the Lee thing's a little confounding. But I think if he was hitting 275, 280 like he was at the beginning of the year, there would not be any questions about where should we put him. I don't know. He would be probably sitting in that leadoff spot. But who knows? We'll see what happens tonight. Carson Whisenhunt is the guy tonight. So it's exciting. It's a major league debut. And, hey, it should be good. Should be all good. So, yeah, that's going to do it for our show. We want to hit the sponsors one more time. Of course, the Kehrig Real Estate team. They've been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area since 1978. I know these folks. They are good people, and they are good at what they do. Listen, whether you're moving up, downsizing, hey, making your first purchase, that's always a little hectic. But I went through it with them. And like I said, they're awesome. You can trust the Kehrig Real Estate team to guide you through serving the Bay Area with pride for 45 years. And listen, contact Mike Kehrig. I know Mike, awesome guy, works super hard. Contact him today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. You can do that by calling that number right on the screen, 548-4132 and ask for Mike. So we appreciate the Kehrig Real Estate team as one of our new sponsors. And tonight's show also brought to you by Tilden Properties. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multifamily. That's multifamily real estate. Think about it. When you invest in with Tilden Properties, you see cash flow with quarterly dividends while building equity in the real estate market. That's a pretty good combination. Bay Area-based, family-owned. It's a wonderful family, folks. Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. Go to the website. Their website's great. It'll tell you exactly what they do and exactly how they make you money. TildenProperties.com, or give them a call at 925-209-8558. So thanks to the sponsors, Tilden Properties and the Kehrig Real Estate team, for sponsoring the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. Hope you enjoyed it tonight, everybody. We tried to cover a little bit of everything, as we always do. We appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the likes button, but most of all, keep on watching. And we'll be back with you on Thursday for another live stream. It'll be completely devoted to the trade deadline. So that is what is coming up later on in the week. Enjoy the ball game, everybody. And again, thanks for joining us on the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants.